Okay, it's 5 o'clock. I want to call to order City of Elkhorn Committee of the Whole. Roll call, please. It's March 23rd, 2026 at 5 p.m. Roll call, please.
Tim Schroeder is absent. Peter Harvey.
Here.
Gary Payson Jr.
Here.
Ron Dunwoody is absent. Scott McClory.
Here.
Ken Minell.
Here.
Dan Roberts.
Here. Okay, first item is interview of Chagston and Associates for professional services to assist the city with updating its comprehensive plan. Okay, floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear us? Is this, we just want to make sure.
It'll light up. That's when it's on.
I didn't want to push. Perfect. Awesome.
Thank you.
We were told we needed to mic up. Okay, hi, good evening. I am Stephanie Brown, and I am a planner with Chastain and Associates.
And I am Sophie Parr, and I am also a planner with Chastain and Associates. And we're very excited to be here.
Very much so. So just a little bit about Chastain and us. We are a civil engineering firm primarily, based out of Illinois, but we also have done a lot of work in Indiana, Wisconsin, and Kentucky. We are a small but mighty planning portion that is growing. I've been in the industry now for almost 20 years. Cut my teeth with the city of Decatur in Central Illinois as a municipal planner for several years before moving to, as I like to tell my friends, the dark side of consulting. And I've been working in the consulting space for about 12, 13 years now. So it's been fun. Sophie, if you want to tell just a little bit about your background.
Yep. So I have been planning for about 9 years. I started up in Duluth, Minnesota. I was the transit planner for the Duluth Transit Authority, started in transportation. I relocated to Madison, where I actually started my own consulting firm where I was doing primarily rural tourism planning in the Door County area. And then about a year and a half ago, I decided to move back to Illinois, where I am originally from, and I joined Chastain with Stephanie. And it's been really fun to get to do planning in Illinois and in Wisconsin. I continue to work in some Wisconsin communities, and so we're just really excited to be here. Yeah.
All right, so you had some questions, so we're just going to kind of have a conversation as we go to help answer those questions. So the right fit for Elkhorn. We're really excited. I'm a self-proclaimed planning nerd. I love all things about planning. I'm actually in my 1-year post-presidency for the Illinois chapter of the American Planning Association. Loved every minute of hanging out with all the planners in Illinois and getting to know them over the last 2 years, and just really encompassing all things that are planning. So I very much enjoy that title of planning nerd. But we're also energized and excited to partner with you all. We very much value partnerships. 80% of our clients are return clients. Of our work is from return clients. So we really value the idea of working with municipalities, of working with various staff and continuing that relationship beyond the plan. We have a passion for communities like Elkhorn. A lot of our communities that we work in are in that mid to small sized arena, the less than 20,000. A lot of our client communities are in that 5 to 15,000. We really enjoy working with that size. I'm from rural Illinois. I was born and raised in Southern Illinois, went to school in Northwestern Illinois in the Quad Cities, then wound up in Central Illinois at U of I before landing and marrying a farmer in Decatur, Illinois. So I live in the rural sphere. I like the rural sphere. It's comfortable for me, and I very much enjoy helping communities in that context. We also bring a very fresh perspective backed by experience. I mean, combined, we've got almost 30 years together. But with a small team, we come with a lot of different ideas that we love to bring and work with you on. A lot of our ideas are generated by those one-on-one conversations with staff and helping vet those through the process.
So number 4 here, we genuinely care about the process. We love the planning process. We love talking to the communities that we're working with. Kind of as Stephanie mentioned, we have a passion for communities like Elkhorn. And we work in communities like Elkhorn. Similar demographics, similar size. We kind of understand the people a little bit, and we love to get to know them and what they really care about in their community, and we want to use that information that we gather from them to help build a plan that really works for you. But we genuinely really care about the process, and we love having an outcome that truly is going to be a tool for you guys to use, and we're going to kind of get into a little bit more of that. But we want to build you a plan that you can use and gets funded and finds opportunities for grants for projects that are identified in the plan. We genuinely care about that whole process that gets to that outcome. And then lastly, we create plans that are very clear, useful, and beautiful. So this is actually a map from our Byron comprehensive plan that we just wrapped up in 2025, one of their transportation maps. We like simplicity, we like clean lines, we like producing something that people can look at and actually like looking at and like reading through. That's a huge part of getting buy-in, is just something that looks nice. And so we really pride ourselves on creating plans that can meet that for you guys.
So what sets us apart? We design plans to be used, and I know that's easy to say. But as I said, a lot of our clients are repeat clients, and that's because those plans are getting used. You know, we set up our plans to help pursue funding, to help pursue special areas of interest. And so if we can get those plans to be used, that means we get to come back and help you move the needle forward time and time again. Here is a map from the Marshall, Illinois plan. This one was very specific, and they had, there's actually a follow-up to this that we can zoom in on too. That was the transportation piece. And they were very specific with what they wanted in their transportation plan, because they had at least 9 different grants that they wanted to go after for various projects. So we had to be very, very careful and very strategic in how we put that plan together for them so that they could pursue those funds. Illinois is very specific about it has to be in your comp plan to get this grant. So we made sure that it was in their comp plan so they could get those grants. And then also just working with the community, in this particular instance, the future land use plan, kind of simplifying it. You know, it's easy to put colors on blocks and say, yeah, that's great for residential. Yeah, that's great for industrial. But being very specific and actually looking at it parcel by parcel is very important to us, because we do know that it is what guides development for you in the next 5, 10, 15 years, and it should not be a very cavalier brush stroke of what color looks nice there. Sorry, did you want?
Yeah, I'll do the next one. So our plans definitely are visionary. We think big, but stay rooted in real world feasibility. So right now we're working with Grundy County down in Illinois, and they have some really big vision ideas. So one of those is a new north-south bridge over the river. There's only one bridge over the river in the entire county. The other is completely redeveloping their riverfront. And these are things that a lot of the community is like, well, that'll never happen. We'll never have that. We'll never need that. But our job is to think about those big ideas and capture them and have them in a plan, so that if you get to a point where the community has developed to a place where you're actually looking at some of those big projects that people 10 years ago didn't think were going to happen, you are ready for that. So we want to prepare you for those types of things. So when we're out in the community, we're listening for that big vision stuff, and we then translate it into the plan that can then hopefully be actually implemented should that time come. So we think about a lot of that stuff.
Sure. And then, you know, part of our process as planners, we're inherently good at listening. You know, we want to translate the voice of the community into actionable plans. In Effingham, we worked really hard with their community. We ended up extending the amount of public engagement that we did as we got into the process. Staff felt that they really wanted to spend more time with specific focus groups. So as an addition to that plan, we ended up planning, I think, 13 different focus groups that were very strategic. The first one was with fire, police, and safety. And they had over 40 people come to that meeting to talk about the future of emergency services in Effingham and the surrounding area. It was very important to them, particularly because they have 2 interstates that intersect there, the county and the city, so there's a lot of crossover of services and service areas. And so having their input on the future of those services was very important to them. Also, another big focus group was their downtown focus group. We had about 30 people from the downtown sphere come in and give us input and lend input into that part of the plan. And in listening with those, it was very easy to adopt that plan because people felt heard and felt like their ideas came across in the plan.
So another thing that we like to do is we definitely approach every community on its own terms. So we just wrapped up the Byron Comprehensive Plan, which is a community just south of Rockford. It's not really in the metro region, it really stands on its own. It's about a population of 5,000 with planning jurisdiction for a population of about 12,000. It's a very unique community, and one of the things that we heard was that people live there because of it's a small town. It's not that they were like against development or against growth, but they wanted the plan to reflect the small town character of their community. And so in the development of the plan, we really led with that first. So we didn't necessarily think like major development here, major development here. We thought about keeping their local character, but identifying areas where development could happen so that if development came in, it knew where to be directed to. And so the plan really kind of reflects that small town character and moderate growth that people would support, but also like to see that their community is going to stay that small town, which is why they live there. So we really want like to listen to the community on like, what do you guys actually want? What do you guys actually look for in your community? Why do you live here? That's a huge question we ask is like, why do you live here? What do you love so much about this community? So that's something that I think we definitely look to and we're developing plans.
Do you want to talk about Egg
Oh,
Harbor
yeah,
too?
mine's the next one. So the next one we have here, and this is actually a picture from the Egg Harbor Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Plan. So I did the Egg Harbor, this was kind of before I joined Chastain, but I have worked in Wisconsin. We do have our Wisconsin roots a little bit. And I did the Egg Harbor Comprehensive Plan back in 2020, and a part of that plan, one of the goals was to develop an outdoor recreation plan. So they then kept me on to develop the outdoor recreation plan. It was very specific. We worked to identify projects that they wanted to have funded within the next 10 years. And so one of those was a beach acquisition to expand their local village beach. That the plan, once adopted, was actually then used for a Knowles Nelson Stewardship Grant, and it was awarded. And so they were able to not only expand their beach, but also develop a new lift station on the beach, which now opens up capacity for development in that southern area of the village, which is where the beach is located. So the plan was really developed to help them get that funding to improve that asset in their community, which not only benefits residents, but it also benefited their tourism industry. So the other big thing that was part of that plan was, and you can see here like priority levels, the beach project was a high priority, and then the medium priority was to construct a multi-use trail from their beach to a county park, which was about, I think it's about 4 or 5 miles away. So today, I'm actually working with the county, with a group in the county, to provide a strategic plan for that trail. So even though it's 5 years later, we're still working to develop trail connections there. And as a part of this outdoor recreation plan, we're now able to move forward with more detailed planning for that trail. And I think speaking to kind of relationship building, I've continued to work in those communities since this plan was developed to then further plan. And it's helpful to have longstanding relationships with planners because we do, when we're working in a community and we understand not only the people, but the projects that have been going on, issues that have come up or opportunities that are available, that helps us continue planning for you and continue helping each community.
I think one other thing I'd like to point out here too is I like to say we're a small planning firm backed by a larger civil engineering firm. So we do have those in-house resources, which is very helpful, especially when we're thinking about some of your priorities and just understanding the magnitude of what some projects may need. Is this a $1 million project? Is this a $5 million project? Sometimes you might say this is a high priority, but it's going to take several years to get that funding. And being able to lean on our civil engineering counterparts can be helpful at times in understanding phasing of projects, understanding the true magnitude of what certain ideas may take to actually get off the ground, so we can lean on them when we need to. All right, and then the last one. Yeah. And then we're just a phone call away too. Yeah, sorry. In my head, I answered that. You guys weren't in there. So we're just a phone call away. We like to become trusted partners with our client communities, and we like to be that resource. I like grant writing. I like public engagement. I like making plans. And I like seeing those plans through fruition. And so being a phone call away is very important to us. We like to feel like you can call us any time, day or night.
Yeah, I mean, the two of us sitting here in front of you are the people you're going to be working with. So we definitely like to build relationships with you so you feel comfortable just giving us a call and picking up the phone and asking a question. We want to be that planner for you that can answer those or help guide you.
And then a little bit about our approach. We like to get acquainted. We like to understand the expectations of the plan, understand the expectations for you as a community, as a board, as a council. We need to know what your goals are to make sure that as we are extracting information throughout the plan, we have those high-level goals in mind and high-level priorities. We do a lot of data collection at the beginning. You know, we need to understand where your base level is. You know, if you have these goals, what do we need to do to make that change? What is that increment in that change? Also understanding, you know, the base data from a community standpoint. You know, as we collect survey data and we start listening to you, you know, the data that we find from like the census will be fed by the data that we find from collecting the surveys. One thing that we've started doing, we think we would like to do here with you all too in the survey phase is, you know, a lot of times it's easy to make a 40-question survey. But if you've ever answered a 40-question survey, by question 38, you're like, ugh, is this over yet? We just did this in Grundy, and it's worked really well, particularly when you're coming to people tend to be passionate about one or two topics, is we broke the survey into 6 individual topic surveys. So you could take just the transportation survey if you're concerned about bike infrastructure. You could take just the open space and recreation survey if you're only concerned about parks, but maybe you're concerned about transportation and parks, so you get to take both of those. And what we found is we've had very good specific feedback from people who have care and passion for those particular topics, and they don't really care about residential housing. You know, they're like, that doesn't interest me. So that's not something they glossed over in the survey and you got half answers. You only got answers from people who cared about that topic. And it's shown in the results. So we did that in the beginning, and as we got results back, we started having our stakeholder meetings, and then we used that information to feed the stakeholders and tell them what feedback we were already getting on these particular areas of interest. And it really helped drive the conversation, I think, to a much deeper place and a much more meaningful place during those stakeholder meetings than had we not had that information at our fingertips from the community. So I think having that listening ear and using the data and the public input throughout the process really helps drive the plan in a much more meaningful way. And then we take all of that and we work with staff and we'll work with the stakeholder group to really help drive that into the actual plan. You know, how does this translate into your future land use? How do these goals from future land use translate into actionable and implementable steps? You know, we like to work collaboratively to help refine that process so that when you're ready to turn it into a reality, it's a much more easy process.
All right, and I want to be cognizant of time for questions too, so we'll kind of wrap up about here. So we wanted to just share our 2 most recent engagement strategies. So in the city of Effingham and then Grundy County, those are our 2 most recent projects. You can see here we did this really nice graphic as an overview of the survey results from Effingham. So again, we like to make things visual. We like to turn data into something that people can look at and hopefully digest. So that's kind of and I know Stephanie talked a little bit about doing all the focus groups in Effingham. We also had our survey, and we had about 10% of the population respond to the survey, which is a very high percent when you're doing comprehensive planning. And then as Stephanie just mentioned in Grundy County, this is actually a flyer we created to highlight the different surveys. They wanted kind of a video game theme, so we did this like level up Grundy concept about like choosing a mission, which is really a survey. So we kind of were able to get kind of creative there. And you can be as creative as you want in the comprehensive planning process. We definitely like to be creative. But again, it was a great approach to getting feedback, was having those individual surveys. It really allowed people to be invested in the way that they wanted. And the question, it was only about 5 or 6 questions. So people could really get through the survey and it didn't take them too long. And we found that some people took the survey and then wanted to take another one because they were like, oh, that wasn't too bad. So I think we've gotten over 3,000 responses to the survey in a county of about 50,000. So we're very happy with that response. And then lastly, you asked the question about how we build consensus when you have decision makers that maybe disagree or maybe there's different priorities on different boards. So we kind of outlined our process for that. So the first thing that we do is we just listen. When we're trying to build consensus, we listen to different stakeholders, we listen to decision makers, we listen to, what are your different priorities on your plan commission or on your city council. Then we take the feedback that we're starting to gain from the community and we share that with you. We let you know what your community is saying. So you might not feel like recreation is a big deal. Actually, this happened in Grundy. They did not think that recreation was a big deal to people. One of the #1 things we found in the survey was that recreation was something that was greatly needed and that was going to greatly improve quality of life. And so now we've had different discussions with their stakeholder groups on how can we kind of bring forth a little more recreational opportunities throughout the county. And then we also bring in our expertise and we provide the options, right? We talk to you about, again, Grundy as an example, we talk about, hey, you could be developing your riverfront, you could be developing trail that connects the different communities to each other. We can talk about the different options for improving recreation that would then improve quality of life. And then we just work together and we have open discussions using all of that information that we've collected to share with you and kind of come to hopefully a consensus on the direction that the community might want to take. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that summed
All
it
right,
up.
I just wanted to keep right on time, so we had 10 minutes for questions,
Yeah.
but that is what we've got for you today.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody? I don't think we really should be asking additional questions, right? To keep it fair?
No.
Or we do?
can, yeah.
Okay.
This is an RFP process. You
Okay.
guys can ask any questions you want.
Anybody? Chief? You're welcome too.
Not to put you on the spot.
He's the new guy.
I'll say I'm the new guy, so.
Well, welcome.
Gonna read these questions?
That's what we just went through.
Okay, I didn't know if you were gonna like read them verbatim or,
No, that's what they just went through.
gotcha.
So any other questions?
Other additional,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Adam?
I don't know, Alderman Harvey, do you have any? Because I know you were.
No, I think I'll save that.
Okay.
But thank you.
Okay. I guess 2 questions. One, obviously a lot of your experience is in Illinois, so how do you think you can sort of adapt that to Wisconsin? That's question number 1. And question number 2 is, you are a smaller firm, so what, hypothetically speaking, if, God forbid something should happen to the one of 2 of you, kind of what's your contingency plan at that point?
That's always, hey, that's a great question. So to answer your first question, my previous firm that I worked with was based in Wisconsin, and I worked behind the scenes a lot on comp plans in those spaces from a seat in Illinois, but I did get to sit there and work on the plan, so I'm very familiar with the state statute in Wisconsin and the requirements of a comp plan. And I think just having some of that experience, as well as Sophie's experience working in Wisconsin, I'm not intimidated by that or worried that we're gonna misstep there. And then to your second point, we are growing. We do have an intern coming on this summer, and I'm hoping to hire someone on full time within the next year for an additional 3rd person. So it's been a fun journey. As I mentioned, I think in the original interview, my goal last year was to double the planning department, and I did that.
With me.
We doubled it, and so I'm trying to got to grow by 50% is my next goal. So we're on our way.
And I'll just add, Stephanie and I, we've developed such a great working relationship over the last year and a half that I've been on, and we are just like so motivated to grow our team and to do a good job. And I love Wisconsin. Half of my family is in Williams Bay, so I spend every Thanksgiving down there. And I love Wisconsin. The other half of my family is in Door County. My brother's in Madison. I definitely have roots here, and I love this state, and I have absolutely loved working in the communities in Wisconsin that I've been able to work with. Great people, wonderful culture, great communities, and yeah, we're very excited to be here and to be able to interview with you. And we recognize we're a smaller team, but I think that comes with a lot of motivation. So.
I just have one question. Can you talk about how your firm will take the lead in this process while still keeping staff and plan commission and council members involved, but ultimately guiding us along the way?
Sure. So as we kind of mentioned with our process, we like to set up expectations early on. So understanding how involved you want to be. We've worked in a couple communities where they're like, just let us know when you need something. They're very, very hands-off because they either don't have the time or, a lot of municipalities are short-staffed or there's just so much going on. And we've had other communities that are very hands-on and they want to be there every single step of the way. And so we like to work that out in the very beginning, understanding your capacities as staff and as board and as commissioners and everybody, what is your capacity and your expectation and your level of want to be involved. And then we work out a plan in the beginning on how to make sure we meet that level. So it might be, monthly meetings, it might be weekly meetings. It just kind of depends on where we want to meet and what meets your expectations for us. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just that we can definitely plan with your capacity. Yeah, like Stephanie said, we have clients that want to be very involved, and we have clients that want us to just kind of run everything. And if we need them to help schedule a meeting, they will. But otherwise, they want us to take the lead on that. And we are comfortable in both situations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I've got a question. So how many communities are you currently working with, and how many more do you think you can take on before you expand your workforce?
Sure. We tend to work in 2 to 3, for comprehensive plans, 2 to 3 at a time. Don't like to get too far ahead of that just because meeting times, with evenings, there are only so many evenings you can you can schedule a meeting. My kids might not be too happy with me if I took too many more out. But yeah, we try to work within that 2 to 3, and then once we start getting beyond that is when I would look for some more help.
And I think right now our biggest client is our Grundy County client, which we're in kind of the middle of that process. We also have a small project happening in Door County, and we've kind of continued to wrap up our Effingham and Byron clients. So we have capacity to bring this on and really make it a priority.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? No?
Use our full 30 minutes here. Just out of curiosity, I know you guys are both based out of, I think particularly Stephanie, you're based out of sort of central Illinois. How's that going to impact the ability to, go back and forth between, commute between Elkhorn and
Sure.
central
So I
Illinois?
think the way we had kind of planned for this, our work here to between us would be to me be more on the project manager side of things, come up for meetings that I need to be at, but really be more on the oversight, the communication, the quality assurance, quality control, troubleshooting, brainstorming, but me working in the background more and having Sophie be more the boots on the ground. She's a much shorter distance being out of the Elmhurst-Schaumburg area. It's a much shorter drive for her than for me.
Yeah, I'm in Elmhurst, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago. And like I said, half my family's in Williams Bay. So I have the ability to be local. So I have the ability to, really be at any meeting that you would want me at. And I would love to be there.
It's not a far drive. So I work in Deerfield.
Yeah, I've done the drive so many times. So it's really not bad.
And I don't mind driving, to be
I mean,
honest.
Decatur's honestly right down 39. I was kind of surprised. It's
And it only
right
took
down,
me
yeah.
3 hours and 15 minutes to get here. I didn't think that was too terrible.
Not too terrible.
Okay, anything else? So are they ready to go, or they hang out and then we talk later, or?
I think the plan would be, unless you guys feel strongly, probably to
Let them go?
let them go, and then
Okay.
you guys can talk later once you've heard the next.
Everybody on board with that? Okay. Good. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming in.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
I figured that out. I'm not that bright.
2 days a week I do that. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, on Mondays and Fridays, I am busier than I am
done
on
with
Tuesdays.
this. Yeah.
I literally was meeting.
Exciting. I'm halfway done, finished half.
Yes, please.
Oh, we kept him in the quiet room.
I wouldn't really be fair to have him
I've
sit
been
right
there.
outside the door.
Does that bring flashbacks?
Yeah, right.
Almost a year ago.
Remember sitting there going like this.
Wondering why the door was locked.
From the inside, they can't get out.
When there was a gas chamber nearby.
That's not my game, right?
You don't get out of it that easy.
Let's switch gears. Yeah. Yep.
As long as your mic's up, that way you can get you for the AV. If you feel more comfortable at the podium, you can sit there as well. They both have HDMI's that you can plug your computer into.
Okay.
Okay, while you guys are setting up, I'll read off the next thing. So the next item is the interview of House Levine for professional services to assist the city with updating its comprehensive plan. And after you guys are set up, you are good to go.
All right, great, thank you. And up for each of you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Unless the city provider. I think that's where it came. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I like this map.
It's logging it. Okay, and we're off. Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Carrie Papelbon. I'm with House Levine. I'm with Jacob Moser. We're just going to give you a couple of slides this evening, and then we'd love to talk to you more about our presentation and our proposal. Basically, what we'd like to do is just kind of introduce ourselves, introduce the firm, go over the interview questions and responses, and then give a couple of closing remarks, and then get right into Q&A. So thank you again for having us. We're very excited to be here. We're honored to have been chosen as one of the finalists for this project. We know that you've had a lot of great responses to this RFP, and we're just honored to be here with you this evening. Again, my name is Carrie Papelbon. I'm a senior project manager for House Levine. Jacob Moser is a planner too, and would also be planning support for this particular project. So a little bit about House Levine. We are a planning, design, and geospatial firm. We provide planning services at all scales, anything from comprehensive plans and master plans down to corridor plans, downtown plans, and we also do GIS services and zoning codes. We have national experience, so we are well-versed in both Wisconsin projects, Illinois projects, regional projects, as well as throughout the country. We are an innovative firm. We really like to make sure that we are on the cutting edge of planning and zoning, and we like to have fun. We try not to take ourselves too seriously, and we do really have fun in doing what we do, and we hope that comes through in everything that we produce. Our national experience covers about 32 states. We have actually now 6 offices. I am in the Milwaukee office, and Jacob is in the Chicago headquarters. We've done over 200 comprehensive and master plans. That's really kind of the heart of what our firm does. But again, we've done corridor plans and provided other planning services all the way down to TOD planning and zoning services as well. We're an award-winning firm. We've won awards in several states as well as at APA National, ESRI, the Congress for New Urbanism, and in fact, last year, one of our plans, TOSA Tomorrow, actually received the State Planning Award. Go, Jacob. So we're very proud of that. This is just some of our comprehensive planning experience. This is not a comprehensive list, but we have done quite a bit in Wisconsin. Again, this is not a comprehensive list, but these are some of the projects that we have done within the state itself. And what we'd like to do now is just kind of go over some of the interview questions and responses. So first one, what sets us apart? Why do we think that we are the best firm to help you with this important project? So we are a national firm, which means that we bring expertise from nationwide, but we're primarily a planning firm. So that's really the heart of what our firm does. A lot of other firms are like planning and engineering and, but we are primarily a planning firm. And what that means is that we can bring national experience as well as regional experience to the table. We bring that to every project that we do, but that doesn't mean that this is going to be a boilerplate or a template kind of plan. This is something that needs to be tailored to the desires, to the needs, to the aspirations of the community. And that's something that we definitely are very focused on whenever we talk about any project. We never lose sight of the why. Why are we doing this? Why are we updating the plan? What is the goal of the plan itself? What are the aspirations of the community? And one of the things that we do that we think is very effective is we work very closely with staff, kind of interacting day-to-day with the community is really what they do. They know the community best. They know what works best in the community, how to communicate. So we really try and be an extension of staff. Whenever we come to the community, we have a full kickoff that includes going around the entire city. So we will have a team that will go out for a couple of days and actually do going up and down every street just to get a really good feel of what the community is like. We want to talk with staff. We want to talk with stakeholders. We want to talk with people in the community, and we have a wide range of outreach options that we can employ that Jacob is actually going to talk about in a little bit, and that goes right into making sure that we are facilitating effective community engagement. So if we know, for instance, that something has worked in the past for this city, we're going to try and replicate that, but we're not going to be so, we're not going to be that strict about what it is that we're proposing. If there's something that we have proposed for community engagement and that's not really working very well, we'll pivot. We're very nimble about what we can do in order to engage the community, making sure that there are opportunities for people to participate in the process. One of the first things that we do, again, along with going into the community, going up and down all the streets, talking to everybody, is taking an inventory of what's on the ground right now and doing our internal analysis. We utilize GIS in every project that we do. We're an ESRI Gold partner, so that means that we have those tools available to us in order to do that analysis for every project. We respond to and respect local character and values. This is going to be the City of Elkhorn's plan, and we're helping you with writing it. So this really needs to be reflective of what it is the community wants to be and what its unique current characteristics are. If something is working, we want to make sure that we're building on that and that we're providing you with opportunities to make sure that those things continue, and also giving you some opportunities for what can work that may have worked in other places. But again, it's tailored to the city. Ultimately, this plan is going to be used to inform and educate both the community, developers, and it's also going to help decision makers with making those very important development decisions as we go forward. So this needs to be something that is very user-friendly, and it needs to be accessible to everybody. So oftentimes, comprehensive plans in the past would be a written, printed kind of tome, if you will, that might be sitting in the planning department on a shelf somewhere that would be pulled out every once in a while when it would be necessary to review a development, maybe looking at the map. But more and more often, these plans are written in plain, concise English, text that's very kind of easy to understand, so you don't actually need to have any kind of planning expertise or any kind of background in order to understand what the plan is saying and what the community has said that it wants to be and where it's moving forward in the future. These are also plans that more and more often live online, so we want to make sure that this is something that people can get to via the website. If there's anything that needs to happen in terms of accessibility, we'll make sure that that is built into the online version of the plan itself. So that's a little bit about just where we're coming from. And now Jacob's going to get into a little bit more of the specifics about how we create the plan and what our community outreach is like.
So question number 3, having to deal with how we approach long-range comprehensive plans and some examples that we can share with you. One of the first things that we do with each project is develop a preliminary understanding, which is really just our initial observations, a little bit of research into the community, see, what are some things that the comprehensive plan could address. In this case, I know we understand that there's 3 different sub-areas between Deer Road, there's the undeveloped property west of Deer Road, South Lincoln Avenue, and South Lincoln Street, and downtown, along with other plan elements like housing, land use, and transportation that we'll look at updating in the project. But really what it comes down to is these 4 steps that we've outlined. Really starting out with step 1 being the project kickoff, where we really get involved in the community, host workshops, have a survey, meet with the council and committee again. Step 2 would be that drafting that visioning statement and the general plan elements, really the core of the plan. Step 3, we step aside and go take a look at the sub areas that we outlined, and then step 4, looking at the whole revising everything, putting in the implementation matrix and other elements, and just finalizing that for adoption. But really what that can be summed up as is 3 different components of establishing where we are today, looking at where we want to go, and then taking a look at what that roadmap is to get there. So in this case, this is how it looks in plan with TOSA tomorrow. We established that regional context, some of those issues and opportunities. Take a look at what we got back from feedback online and through map.social, which is I'll go into that in a second here. And we also can look at where we're getting responses from as well. We took a look at the vision statement, have it very prominent on in the document as well. And there's also these plan structures too, so each plan is unique. In fact, that in this case there was different call-outs that outline different things like planning concepts. So we try to make sure that this plan is easy to understand. If there's some sort of planning jargon that people don't quite get. We also try to make sure that all the maps are bright and colorful, easy to read. In this case, housing and neighborhoods, we look at specific recommendations that are geared towards the community as well. So in this case, in TOSA, we looked at specific areas that housing could grow. It's because it's landlocked and it has no room to grow outward, so it has to densify. There's other components as well, such as neighborhood character, and there's these neighborhood associations that are a big component of the plan, and as well as other things like missing middle housing that we developed unique graphics for specifically for TOSA. Other part of this plan was these these sub-area plans, which we called corridor plans, that just included other graphic improvement frameworks that just illustrate different recommendations to things like the Mayfair Mall, or different improvements like priority redevelopments, landscaping, what's the last thing? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Multimodal connections as well, and bike paths. And this looks different in each plan too. So when we talk about similar communities and similar sizes, Marengo is around that same size of 8 to 12,000. The improvements frameworks here for their downtown incorporate different redevelopment opportunities. In this case, there's a whole metro station to the north side. For Dixon, this is more your plan, but very graphic approach to community outreach and showing what kind of responses they got, as well as other unique frameworks for like the interchange as well. And lastly, there's the Willowbrook, which takes another approach to subareas and takes a look at, distills it down into this toolkit that outlines each improvement and then how it metabolizes on the on-site. So the next question is, how do we make sure that we get meaningful and public engagement, especially with residents and business owners and those other members of the community that may not quite come out to participate in comprehensive planning, even though I think it's probably the most fun part of the process to get involved in. We try to cast as wide a net as possible and try to get as many people as possible, really ingrain ourselves in the different outlets that there are. We provide in-person engagement as well as virtual options. So we try to say, try to get out on make a project website, try to get on newsletters. If there's a utility mailer, we'll just get involved in that. We can make a little flyer that directs people to the website or some survey. But really, we try to make everything low barrier to entry, and make participation at the end of the day very convenient. So it's just as simple as going on your phone and just taking this quick survey. In this case, in Green Bay, we implemented all these different approaches. We had a project website. We kicked off the community with different committees and commissions. We had a whole visioning workshop. At what works for works for Green Bay may not work for another community as well. So we had our visioning workshop in a brewery, which is very Wisconsin. I loved it, at least. And then in another community, we had the visioning workshop in Park Pavilion. But there was also another component to it, which was these pop-up events, and we also work with staff to help them, provide them these materials, and then they went around the community at different events. There was different farmers markets, there was a pet walk. They also had different neighborhood planning workshops too, where we went into the community and had workshops specifically geared towards just different areas of Green Bay. We also have an interactive project website, like I mentioned. This is where we kind of have our home base of operations, essentially, where people can go to. They can take a survey. They can go on map.social. They can see any upcoming community meetings as well. They can also get these DIY kits. So when we do our little 4-question issues and opportunities workshop, they can run those themselves at their church or their different community groups or their neighborhood groups. Like I said, with map.social, this is an HL product that we implement in all our projects. It's like social media, but with Google Maps. And you can put different items on the legend here. So if there's a community asset or some sort of priority redevelopment site, residents can go on there and outline those things themselves. And on the back end, we can take this data and take a look at where there's areas that are starting to like highlight and where the community assets are starting to populate most, where there might be problematic intersections, and or if there's any like poor appearances, and if there's something with code regulation that we need to take a look at. There's also a really cool word map, forgot the word for that, that we can start to see which words are popping up the most, like community, bike, campus, park, neighborhood, along with virtual outreach. We also implement very interactive traditional community workshops. So in this case, we try to have a very easy, low tech approach to this, where we just come in with a very easy, very simple PDF, but we can also do this with just a notebook and paper. for visioning, we try to get people involved. In this case, I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm up there with my mom in Tosa. What she didn't say is that I'm actually from Tosa. So that was a little surreal. Made talking about my work really easy. She's like, "Oh, this is what you do." But we just try to implement a lot of different ideas to get people involved, get people excited about what's going on here. Like in the bottom right, there's Village of Lisle. We brought blocks to the community workshop so that kids can come in and see, have something material, physical to grab onto and like put and move around. We also have these sticky notes too that tell like an easy way to get people involved when they're walking into the workshop. I think I'm going to hand it off back to you for question 5.
So really what we are trying to convey here in all of these images is that we have a robust toolkit in order to reach the community, and we can be nimble and we can pivot to whatever is going to work best for the community, be that online options, be that in-person options, or something that they can do on their own, like the DIY kits. The DIY kits are really great because that allows people to do exactly what we would do at a normal in-person workshop on their own time with different groups that we might not otherwise be able to reach. So people can go and talk to their neighbors, talk to their church groups, their book clubs, what have you. And we can get information that way, and it happens on their time too. So if they want to go to a coffee shop and just kind of have a conversation, that's great. We can take that information in. For visioning workshops, definitely want to reach as many people as possible. Some of the great things that we've been able to incorporate from other communities is the kids. So we always have the ability for the kids to interact with their parents as well. As long as they have a guardian with them, they're welcome to participate as well. In Dixon, we actually had somebody who brought their son with them, and he was drawing on the map, and he helped report out, and he identified where it's challenging for him to actually walk to and from school, and where it's challenging for him to walk to and from the park. So it's really great information that we can get that we might not otherwise be able to get. Alternatively, we can submit those DIY kits to the schools and they could conduct their own workshop. But there's just a whole host of different ways that we can reach out to the community and get that input. And some of the ways that we have, some of the things that we get out of these varied community engagement options are the priorities, are the issues that are important to people. So if we just talk about, what are some of the things that you want to see in the future? What are some of the challenges that you're facing right now that really comes forward in some of these outreach events? So it's really about building consensus through identifying common issues. And the way that we do that through some of these workshops is to ask, again, what are the common issues that you see? We'll have a whole list of anything and everything, and then we ask people to rank them. And that's where you really start to see people kind of just really looking at what it is that's most important to them. So when you ask people to kind of say, what are the top 3 or top 4 or top 5 issues for you, then you start to see the things that for most people are rising to the top. It doesn't mean that everything isn't important. They all are important. They all will be addressed. But what are the things that are prioritized at that point? We've been really very successful in getting folks to kind of come to consensus in that regard. But by offering so many opportunities for people to engage and participate, that's one of the ways that we can start to see where these issues are common. Another way is through the implementation chapter of the comprehensive plan. Within there, we have an option for, after we've gathered all the information, after we've vetted this through staff, gone through the commissions and gotten some input that way, what we can do is then build an action matrix for you. We'll take all of the recommendations from the comprehensive plan itself, put it in a table that allows you to see where the partners are, where the short, medium, and long-term projects are, what can be prioritized so that you can get this done within, let's say, a 5-year CIP program, or what might take a little bit longer, and therefore you might have to do some fundraising or some other kind of budgetary considerations so that you can actually start to move the needle on some of these projects. So how do you do that? You've just listened to the community and you see what are the priorities that they've come up with. We're really here to listen and reflect what it is that's important to the community and what's unique about Elkhorn, because Elkhorn is definitely something that we want to make sure that we're building on for the future. We're not here to come in here and say what worked in this community is definitely going to work here, but we can give you options. We can say that, you know, throughout the country, for instance, everybody's dealing with housing, right? But the different ways that these communities are approaching these issues can help give you some best practices or just some even regional, real world examples of how these communities are addressing these very important issues. But again, we come back to what does this mean for Elkhorn? What is going to be priority one for the community? So those are some of the ways that we kind of build consensus and find out what is important to people. We just have a lot of opportunities for people to give us that information. So that's really, again, where we have the opportunity to build consensus. And sure, you're not going to get everybody to be on the same page with everything priority-wise, but at least gives you an idea of where the community has said these things are important. That is the culmination of our presentation. We just like to say that, again, it's been an honor to be chosen to speak with you all this evening about this proposal. We believe that we have the expertise and the experience both in Wisconsin, in the region, and also nationwide to bring some unique opportunities to consider things that might be worthwhile for working in Elkhorn. We like to bring creativity to every project. We like to innovate. We don't like to just say this is going to work here, this is going to work here. We really like to push the envelope and try new things. We're committed to this project. We will be with you for the entirety of it. Myself and Jacob will be the two faces that you see if we're lucky enough to work with all of you on this project. And we want to see this through to implementation. We want to make sure that this plan is something that is reflective of the community's values, and it's something that you can actually put into action. And we'd love to see what you all can do with the plan. So thank you very much, and we're very happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Any questions?
I don't have.
You have 2.5 minutes.
I just have a quick question. Can you describe your roles then specifically for our comp plan if you were selected?
Absolutely. So I will be the project manager for this. So I am going to be the one who is going to be at all the events, all the public participation and outreach. I will be running the day-to-day, both in face-to-face and also behind the scenes. Jacob is going to be my right-hand man, so to speak. So he will be in charge of most of the report writing, most of the chapter drafting, and then working with the rest of the team. So these are the two faces that you're going to be seeing most often, and Jacob will be the primary author along with the rest of the team that we will bring on board for this project.
Thank you.
I do have a question after all. So the plan that you come up with, how are you going to make sure it's financially achievable for our city?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we take a look at, we try and get as much information as possible, and we work with staff very closely. So where the budgets are, where the CIP is, where those important budgetary considerations are and have been for the community, we want to make sure that we're reflective of those as well, that we're building those into the plan. So for instance, if there's not going to be something that we recommend that is just we're not going to be recommending something like you should build a mall here or something like that. We want to make sure that these things are going to be financially feasible. These things are going to be something that you can actually implement. So if this is, for instance, a CIP project or something that may need some outside funding, that will be something that we recognize within the plan, and we'll give you some tools in order to look at funding sources for achieving those things. So for instance, if if there's an opportunity for perhaps TIF district. Those are things that we can look at, but really what we want to do is identify those alternative funding sources, so that it's not just coming from your general fund and things like that. One of the things that is very important for those applications for alternative funds is the project supported by the community? And oftentimes, if it's in the comprehensive plan, that is one of the main criteria for obtaining those additional funds. So those are the things that we want to make sure are included in there. But again, those priority projects are going to be coming from the community input, and as well as staff, as well as all of you. So that direction is really going to be coming from the heart of the city. And those are the things that we're going to be considering there.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
If you were chosen to complete our comprehensive plan update, when you prepare our updated comprehensive plan, will we receive an entirely new document, and will you have touched on every aspect of our comprehensive plan, or will you have just gone over and updated the sections that were listed as priorities within our RFP?
Thank you for that question. So the priorities obviously are going to be things that we will take a look at more of, not necessarily rewriting, but just taking a look at it to see what the updates are going to be required. But certainly all of the sections that require updating are going to be updated. So that includes taking a look at your demographics, taking a look at whatever market data that we have available, and that will also go into taking a look at what the project priority is and what the recommendations will be for that, what the financial sources will be. Any kind of real estate data will also go into that recommendation. But really, we're going to be working with staff to make sure that we're addressing the issues that need to be addressed and that we're updating the things that need to be updated. Whether that's a light touch update or whether that's a more in-depth update, that's something that we're going to be working very closely with staff to achieve. Regardless, though, there will be a new document at the end of the day. It will incorporate and roll over those important things within the comprehensive plan that are still, relevant and important to the community and are still working for the community, but you just may want to continue working on. But certainly there will be opportunities for new ideas and new recommendations and new priorities and strategies as we move forward throughout the process. So I hope that answered your question, but.
Thank you.
And there will also be a print version, a PDF version that you can also put online.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? No? Okay. All right, we are at time. Thank you so much for coming in.
Much.
Have a pleasant evening.
You as well. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you. Have a great night. Okay, next on the list is discussion and possible decision regarding proposals received in response to the city's RFP for professional services to assist the city with comp plan update. And the committee may take up a motion to go into closed session. Does anybody we want to go in closed session? All right, then let me read the spiel. All right, committee may, where's the mayor at this point, right? The committee may take up a motion to go into closed session pursuant to S 1985-1E, Wisconsin statute, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, and pursuant, we got double pursuant in there, to 1985-1F, Wisconsin statute, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons except where 1985 1B applies, which, if discussed in public, would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data, or involved in such problems or investigation, specifically discussing the interviews under number 3 and number 4 of this agenda, and proposals for services. Can I have and? The Committee of the Whole reserves the right to go back into open session afterwards to take possible actions, discuss during closed session, and then move remaining items as posted. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Dan Roberts,
Yes.
Peter Harvey,
Yes.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
It is 6:27, March 23rd, 2026. We're back in open session. Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion for the city to move ahead with getting a contract with Chastain for the comprehensive plan.
To bring forward to the council.
Bring forward to the council.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Probably. Let's do a roll call, please.
Peter Harvey,
Yes.
Scott McClory,
Yes.
Ken Minell,
Yes.
Dan Roberts,
Yes.
Gary Payson Jr.
Yes.
Make a motion to adjourn.
So, yes, motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are now out of